Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. First up today, we're talking about Tesla's secret nickel deal, which isn't really a secret anymore. This is a new multi-year supply deal with mining giant Vale. The actual agreement has not been announced publicly, but it's reportedly covering nickel from Canada. According to Bloomberg NEF, battery sector demand for nickel is expected to jump from 400,000 tons this year to 1.5 million tons by 2030. And we know the sanctions against Russia have caused all kinds of uncertainty, as Russia holds about 17% of the global capacity for refined Class 1 nickel, the type required for EVs. And listen to this, Vale said it has plans to increase its sales to the EV market up to between 30 and 40% from 5% today. A spokesperson for Talon Metals said people don't realize how far ahead Tesla is when it comes to securing the supply chain for raw materials and an integrated approach to battery materials. Gene Munster added, "What Tesla has done with nickel is a hidden competitive advantage. Tesla continues to be a couple steps ahead of the rest." Nickel prices have retreated from the peak earlier this March, but they still remain elevated relative to February. In response to James on Twitter talking about the potential impact of this wealth tax and what it would have meant for Tesla and SpaceX back in the day, Elon said, "Good point. SpaceX and Tesla would probably have died since both narrowly escaped bankruptcy in 2008. To quickly bring you up to speed, this newly proposed wealth tax would tax the richest 700 Americans for the first time. It would establish a 20% minimum tax rate on all American households worth more than $100 million. It's been estimated this fall that 400 billionaire families paid an average federal tax rate of just over 8% of their income between 2010 and 2018, which of course is indeed lower than what most Americans pay. This new plan would mandate billionaires pay a tax rate of at least 20% of their full income, or the combination of traditional forms of wage income and whatever they may have made in unrealized gains, like higher stock prices. Billionaires already paying more than 20% would not owe additional taxes." Shifting gears, let's have a look at the top automakers by profit for 2021, data coming from annual reports and Autoline. First on the list, Mercedes, 25.7 billion. However, they had a one-time item of 12.3 billion for spinning off its heavy trucking business, so they're truly down to 6th place, removing that one-time item. Followed in 2nd place by Toyota, and then we have Ford in 3rd. However, they had a one-time item of around 8 billion for the Rivian stake. Removing that would bump them down to 7th place, removing that one-time item. Man, you can read the rest of the list for yourself, but you can see Tesla in 8th place with $5.5 billion in profit, pulling this off with only 2 global factories and selling far fewer vehicles than all other companies on this list. So my main takeaway here, for Tesla to become the #1 global automaker in terms of profit, they need to do around $20 billion for the year. That's because if you take off Mercedes and that one-time item, that would leave Toyota at the true #1 spot with $19.3 billion in 2021 profit. Important to remember, there are indeed some one-time non-operating items on that prior list and this one as well. However, this will give us a general idea of profitability and what's going on. Now we're going to look at profit per vehicle, just taking those profit numbers with the one-time items removed and dividing by vehicle sales. Now I'm not going to read this list to you, so pause or take a screenshot. All I want to highlight, Tesla already in the #2 slot with $5,895 in profit per vehicle by the calculation I just mentioned. Once again, with 2 global factories and delivering far fewer cars than all other companies on the list. So clearly, by the end of 2022, Tesla has a pretty good chance of taking that #1 spot for this metric. A government official has said that Tesla is opening up its supercharger network to all EV owners in the UK, coming soon. According to the Secretary of State for Transport, Tesla is within weeks or months to open its supercharger network to all electric vehicle owners in the United Kingdom. We can recall that last month, Tesla expanded access to the supercharger network to all electric cars in the Netherlands. Along those same lines, a lot of Canadian Tesla owners have been complaining that the supercharging rates have spiked in recent weeks. To that point, I still think it's really cool that Elon responds to stuff like this. He said, "We'll find out. Our aspiration is just to make a modest return versus the fully considered price of supercharging." And he continued, "Canada requires charging by the minute instead of per kilowatt hour. We're working to get that changed." As it turns out, Giga Berlin is already exporting performance Model Ys outside of Germany. First location being reported is Denmark. GF for Tesla has reported that several delivery centers and Tesla stores across Germany have already been supplied with Berlin-made performance Model Ys, so in my opinion, it makes complete sense to start sending at least a few of these performance Ys to locations outside of Germany to have them in person for people to go see and check out. That'll just spur more demand. Good move by Tesla. And Giga Berlin has already been nominated as an Innovation Location of the Year by Die Deutsche Wirtschaft. Giga Berlin is the largest industrial settlement in East Germany that's been built since 1989, the year I was born. And it should come as no surprise, but Giga Berlin has triggered a surge in investment requests since Elon chose the location. And the Prognos Institute has said that Giga Berlin is reinventing the automotive industry, and it's all thanks to Tesla magic. Gene Munster has one line in this clip that I've been talking about now for months. I think it's crucial. Let me know if you can pick it out, and then I'll tell you what it is after the clip.
I think that they could do $400 billion in revenue in 2027. You put an Apple multiple on, it's a $2,500 stock. I'm not saying that the stock is going to go to $2,500 over the next 6 months. It's going to be up and down. And ultimately, I think that that is what I come back to. I would just offer one other piece, and this is a religious piece. And I do fall. My job is to cut through the noise and identify number of units and profitability. But there is one a piece that I am guilty of having religion on, and that is a belief that using traditional auto as a benchmark to how to value Tesla is misleading. Not misleading in the sense of trying to steer people in the wrong direction. I think it's just the wrong lens. And this is just computer on wheels, and it's about revenue, it's about profitability, it's about a massive, massive TAM.
Using traditional auto as a benchmark for how to value Tesla is misleading. We won't get into it today, but more UAW fraud. The 17th defendant has been convicted in an ongoing UAW criminal investigation. I will link this article below. Elon chimed in saying UAW slogan, fighting for the right to embezzle money from auto workers. The UAW stole millions from workers, whereas Tesla has made many workers millionaires via stock grants. Subtle but important difference. I would argue not so subtle. Jeff Dawn recently gave a seminar where he talked about a 4 million mile EV battery that's been cycling since 2017. I haven't yet been able to find any video of this speech, but if I find it, I'll let you know. And if you find it, please let me know. And here we have it. Biden is set to invoke the DPA, or the Defense Production Act, for battery metals for EV batteries. In case you're not familiar, the Defense Production Act, or the DPA, is the primary source of presidential authority to expedite and expand the supply of materials and services from the U.S. industrial base needed to promote the national defense. For some context, since 1950, this act has been reauthorized over 50 times. There are 3 major sections of the DPA. The first authorizes the president to require businesses to accept and prioritize contracts for materials deemed necessary for national defense, regardless of a loss incurred on business. The law also allows the president to designate materials to be prohibited from hoarding or price gouging. And listen to this, any person who performs any act prohibited or willfully fails to perform any act required by the DPA may be charged with a felony that results in a fine up to $10,000 or imprisonment for up to 1 year or both. The second section authorizes the president to establish mechanisms like regulations, orders, or agencies to allocate materials, services, and facilities to promote national defense. And the third section authorizes the president to control the civilian economy so that scarce and critical materials necessary for the national defense effort are available for defense needs. And the 2 most recent times the DPA has been invoked, the most recent was September of 2021, which was to supplement the supply of fire hose because of the many wildfires, and prior to that, January 2021, when Biden invoked the DPA on his second day in office to increase production of supplies related to the pandemic like protective equipment. So what does this mean? Well, plain and simple, the government is very serious about the production of battery metals and the supply chain for the EV revolution, which of course is a great thing for fans of this channel. However, to be clear, this has not been invoked yet. However, they're saying it could be as soon as this week. So if it goes through, maybe a topic we can dive into a bit further over on Patreon. Have a look at this video by Ember Climate. It's showing wind and solar hit a record 10th of global electricity in 2021. The milestone has now been passed by 50 countries around the world, including the 5 biggest economies. Yes, including the United States, as you can see on the video. Ordinarily, I wouldn't mention this. Yes, it's just Norway. However, there were some people saying, oh, Tesla's market share in purple, January, February, it's cratering over in Norway. Well, the ship has arrived, and now take a look at the data, doubling up the number 2 spot, Audi, at almost 5,000 reservations, and Audi down here around 2,500. It's a pretty exciting day for Jonah Kreider, which is great. She works so hard and she's a great part of the Tesla community. She essentially asked Elon for an interview and he said okay, so hopefully this comes to fruition and we all get to check it out. Tesla Megapack projects continue to expand and be very popular in Australia. A state-owned utility has picked the Megapack for a $113 million energy storage project to back up wind and solar. This will be a 100 megawatt BESS project, which should be able to provide 200 megawatt hours of power. Construction should start later this year, and these Tesla Megapacks are expected to be in place and operating by the end of 2023. Just an updated note for deliveries this weekend, the Wall Street estimate is down to 310,000 from 312,000 previously, given all of the Shanghai shutdowns and supply chain challenges, so the bar has now been lowered for Tesla, which I deem as a good thing. And here we have Vietnamese company VinFast building a $2 billion factory in North Carolina to build EVs, buses, and EV batteries. Vingroup said it plans to have a total investment of $4 billion in its first US factory complex. Construction should begin this year, and the plant's initial capacity will be 150,000 units per year, and construction is expected to be done by July 2024. VinFast has started taking pre-orders globally for 2 EV SUVs with the goal to deliver them in the 4th quarter. And this will actually be North Carolina's first car plant, and it's the largest economic development announcement in the state's history. VinFast said prices for its VF8 Sport SUV are starting from $41,000 in the US, and they're targeting global electric vehicle sales of 42,000 this year. VinFast, which became Vietnam's first fully fledged domestic car manufacturer in 2019, plans to transition to all electric production from late 2022. And I'll send you guys off today with some new footage shared on Tesla's Instagram. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.